The following announcement is paid for by the Wrestling with Nerds.
From Mordor to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join nerds doing nerd things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page.
This honky tonk man, greatest intercontinental champion of all time, and you're watching Wrestling with Nerds podcast. Yes, that's my favorite. Shake, rattle, and roll.
Hey there, the name's Nukem, Duke Nukem, and you're watching the Nerds Doing Nerd Things podcast. For some unknown reason, enjoy.
What's going on, wrestling nerds, and welcome to the finale of our WWF Monday Night Raw against WCW's Monday Night Nitro. We are currently locked in at a tie, 5v5. July was a push. Nobody got a point. Ryan strategically did that because that month sucked, and we need a winner. Oh. But what's up, peeps? Ryan, how you doing, pal?
Hey, I can't complain. Both my football teams won this weekend. Got really nothing else to complain about.
I mean, speaking of football teams winning / losing, I would have liked a warning before I jumped in that Discord Friday night. Nobody warned me. I was ambushed.
Hey, AJ, you're a UConn Huskies fan, right?
Yeah, why?
Do you know the fight song?
No.
Okay, just checking.
I haven't played college football enough.
Well, it was kind of all like sudden, like it all bombarded all at the same time. You joined, and then all hell broke loose. It
Cool.
became like a Royal Rumble, like in a matter of 30 seconds. So, but it's all right.
Earthquake and
It's all
Tugboat
right.
met in the middle.
It's all right. Notre Dame won. They are the best school in Indiana, no doubt about it. They were before the game started, but they still are. They just had to prove it to their little stepsister.
Wow, not even stepbrother, stepsister.
Yeah, well, they're red, so they're like the redheaded stepsister.
Ryan, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Oh, that's right, the leprechaun guy. Gotcha.
Stepsister, was she found in the laundry room in the dryer?
You know,
nobody's gonna hit that soundboard.
I was trying to find it.
I was trying too quickly, but I couldn't.
Like, there's so many of them, AJ.
We have over 250 soundboard buttons.
Not to mention my screen on the other computer's screen just went completely blank. Like my computer was telling me, "Don't do it,
step bro."
Yeah, it's that one. 100% that one. Well, before we get...
Do you know what that will cause you?
A really screwed up...
Emotional damage!
Oh.
Where's the therapy button?
I was more of thinking birth defects.
Nah, it's not blood. You're good. Anyhow.
Unless it is.
Ding, 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 ding. All right, Ryan,
Well,
kind of...
That's a whole new version of inbred when your stepsister's your sister. How does that work?
Your parents got divorced and they remarried?
Anyway, we've
went from Indiana being ruled by Notre Dame to Arkansas. What the hell are we doing?
I don't know. I have no clue.
I don't know, but I could go for some Razorback nuggies.
So, Ryan, give us a rundown of where we left off, because myself and TJ probably don't remember outside of the Montreal Screwjob.
Really, the Montreal Screwjob was all that mattered for the month of November.
I mean, we have a lot of puppies in in December. A
Um,
lot of puppies in December.
you had the Montreal Screwjob, of course. Brett is on his way to WCW, which we'll see this month. He is in WCW. It's not a 30-day clause thing or a 90-day clause like it is now. His contract was terminated, so there's no hold.
It was a couple weeks though, for sure.
Yeah, it was a month. I think the November pay-per-view for WWF was the beginning of November.
Ugh. Well, we don't see him till late December, so if there was a month there, it would have made sense.
That was probably just a month of Brett saying, I'm not doing anything. But we're going to get started so we can get done this beautiful series that we've completed. Because remember, the winner faces me in the next versus challenges.
Do you guys ever watch that South Park episode where the kids are playing Little League and they purposely lose so they can stop playing Little League?
Yes.
I feel like that's what December's going to be.
And then they
what for you?
Don't they start winning and then
Yeah, because the other teams are beating them at losing.
That is a funny episode. I think I've seen that once or twice with you.
This is America.
So let's get started. And I spun the wheel earlier today, and the winner to start things off was AJ in the WWE.
All right, we are starting WWE December 1st, 1997 from the Roanoke Civic Center, Roanoke, Virginia. We start off pretty hot. Taka Michinoku defeats Aguilar in the semifinals match for the light heavyweight tournament. Ryan, that turns into the cruiserweight belt, right?
After the merger, yeah.
Okay.
But the light heavyweight title is what WWF used.
These are all good matches, Ryan, but it is very clear from the get-go that Michinoku is going to be this champion. And
yeah, I think if I remember correctly, it was pretty well obvious that it was supposed to be Taka versus Brian Christopher in the
from
final.
The beginning.
And it didn't matter. Yeah, I do remember this. This was WWF's attempt to do the cruiserweight division, but they just didn't have the talent wasn't there as much in WWF.
And don't get me wrong, all these matches for the light heavyweight title have been good. They haven't been squash matches, but they've been decent enough to start the show and get the crowd into it.
It's like the WWF relied on more American cruiserweight light heavyweights. Taka really being the exception. And then I think Aguilar here is who later on debuts with Lita as S.A. Rios. I think it's one and the same person.
Okay.
I have to double check that. But they didn't depend on Japan and Mexico for the cruiserweight division like WCW did. And you could kind of tell the mix of styles kind of clashed in the WWF light heavyweight division.
Yeah.
Whereas in WCW, those guys were working with each other during the week in Japan and then would just come to TV tapings. So they had all of their stuff kind of worked out and were used to working with each other. So it was always kind of clean. Whereas WWF's really wasn't.
So I kind of accidentally skipped it, but to start the show tonight, we get the Outlaws, the New Age Outlaws coming out, and they're just going through all their actual stick that we've come to know and love, and they're just ripping every single tag team, and then out of nowhere, it seems like the crowd, the Road Dogs come up and just rain hell on them.
Also, they are they not? They have already been crowned. They beat LOD for the tag titles already, correct?
Yep.
So they're the new WWF Tag Team Champions. They're working against the crowd. They're getting all the heat they possibly can. I don't know, for example, for here in Roanoke, but I can remember when they would go to Chicago or something, they would wear Pittsburgh or Green Bay Packers jerseys and stuff just to get more heat.
Oh yeah.
So they were really, really good at getting
like
the
later
heat
in the
that way.
month they're at the Nassau Coliseum where the New York Islanders play and they're wearing Ranger jerseys.
Nice.
Just a little bit of Ryan, I got a question for you.
Sure.
What the hell happened to Goldust? Why is he a simp now?
This is the
This
start
is
of
weird.
the
Like
artists.
formerly known as Goldust. Yeah, I got that. But he's got pink hair, a ball gag, and his nipples are showing in his singlet.
Yeah, he kind of goes off the rails here. This is where the Dustin character was starting to come out with blaming Terry and blaming the WWF for his non-relationship with his father, and that it was the WWF that caused the rift between him and Terry. And you get to see a lot of weird incarnations of the artist formerly known as Goldust.
Dude, it's wild. It's keeping me entertained because I've watched all month, obviously, and it seems like he one ups himself every single week with how weird and crazy it gets.
Yeah,
especially when we get
crazy.
to the end of the month.
This is the start of like a downward spiral for Dustin. You can see that he's gained a lot of weight. He gains a lot of weight. I know in January at Royal Rumble against Vader, it looks like Vader versus Mini Vader because he's gained that much weight, character wise. And then of course he gains a lot more weight later on in the years. But now Dustin's top of his game.
And he's still going.
He holds two separate tag titles. He holds a 6-man tag title and a tag titles in Ring of Honor. I love Dustin Rhodes. He's by far still one of my best.
It's a note I make for the end of this, but there's only probably a handful of guys still wrestling from this era. Jericho, Ray.
There's your three.
No, there's more. Billy Gunn.
Yeah, Billy Gunn doesn't really wrestle anymore.
Sting just got
give it
done.
To you, that one.
Sting just got done.
So then we get into Chains defeating D'Lo Brown, Miguel Perez, and Recon in a 4-way elimination match. These groups, Brian, you said it at the beginning of the year when we started this. We're getting group guerrilla warfare. And it's literally come down to that. Because once this match is over, nobody leaves ringside. They all hit the ring and start beating the absolute crap out of each other.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, The Rock has Stone Cold's Intercontinental Championship belt, by the way. Still, just in case people forgot. And then speaking of that, Rocky Maivia, with everybody from the Nation of Domination, beats Vader by count out. But before that, you have Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Chyna on the stage talking about the match against Ken Shamrock at D-Generation X. I had no clue there was a prosthetic leg there for a second. When Triple H went, and it went, I was like, I don't know if that was supposed to happen. And then he continued to go around with it. I was like, oh, okay, they're ribbing everybody. But yeah, you get Vader and The Rock, but Stone Cold kind of comes out early on with like a beer truck or just a truck. He stands on the truck, has a couple Steve Weisers, and is just berating The Rock the whole time. And the countouts caused by the Nation of Domination beating up on Vader. But then you have Brian Christopher and Scott Taylor in a WWF Light Heavyweight Championship match. Scott Taylor did not appear. We're thinking Kane. Oh, no, we aren't thinking Kane. It was Kane.
Okay.
And then he just took the win. That was it. Then Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg defeat the Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher by DQ. I don't know what it was with all of this going on, Ryan, but I don't know if it was just the Road Dogg and Billy Gunn just wanting to get as much heat as possible, but everything they're doing just looks freaking stiff.
No, they probably were stiff at this point. They're trying to make a point.
And also halfway through this match, you have the Road Warriors hit the ring again to actually get a hand on Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. They said at the beginning of the show that they were out for blood. Well, they going for blood. And then we get Sable and Mark Marrow. A very awkward moment, and I know we talked about this in November, Ryan and TJ. It looks very much like an abuse thing, and I don't like it. And it's completely getting out of hand, especially with her holding the pads where he can punch into, whatever they're called. Sorry. And
Sparring pads.
Whatever. He knocks one straight off her hands, goes out of the ring, and he just starts screaming at her. And Cornette's just standing there laughing. It's just I don't know. I felt really weird. I don't know if that probably what they were trying to.
Did you feel weird or uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable.
That's what you're supposed to feel.
I know that's what I was gonna say. I was like, it's probably what they wanted.
The plan is there's somebody that'll come to our rescue.
Oh, and we see him and we met him.
Mm-hmm.
He would be
Salvatore Sincere. Tom Brady met him at WrestleMania with Honky Tonk Man.
I remember.
Then to finish the night, it's Triple H versus Jim Neidhart. Very fast match. I'm pretty sure Jim's gone after this. Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong.
He is.
But they kind of do him a solid. He does lose. They paint WCW on his back, but then he gets up and starts beating the crap out of Hunter and Sean. So
I'm not really sure how much of that was play.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, this is Neidhart's last. He's out. He's over to WCW by the end of the year.
And we had a lot of stuff leading into Generation X on Sunday. Very excited.
Right. Sounds good, sir. We're gonna hop over to December 1st, Monday Night Nitro. They're in the Knoxville Civic Center.
Knoxville, Tennessee.
Because you're the only
I'll
10
run
I
through your
see.
stuff for you. Rey Mysterio Jr. defeats Juventud Guerrera. Hugh Morris defeats Wrath. Prince Iaukea defeated Yuji Nagata. Harlem Heat defeated the Faces of Fear. Scott Hall defeated Disco Inferno. Ultimo Dragon defeated Psychosis. Chris Benoit defeated Billy Kidman after he was supposed to face Raven, correct? And this got changed?
Yeah, Raven sends Kidman into fight. And this next one's wrong. They have that listed wrong.
Why? Luger beat Bagwell by DQ.
No, he did not.
Yeah, he did.
Luger has yet to beat Bagwell on TV until the end of the month.
He was yet to pin him or make him submit. He beats him by DQ because the NWO interferes. I watched this one with you.
I thought that they made it so that Bagwell got the win via DQ. I don't know. They're playing weird games of this whole thing.
What they're doing is they're building the story of that Luger hasn't pinned or submitted Buff until you get to Starrcade. And then your main event for I think literally 4 out of the last 6 weeks, Diamond Dallas Page defeats Kurt Hennig by DQ for the United States Championship. There's an interesting moment in this show, TJ. It appears somebody lost their ring gear.
Yeah. Psychosis comes out wearing a Juventud Guerrera mask. Kind of weird.
And he doesn't have his kick pads.
No, we were both kind of like.
And he drapes his hair over his face so you can't see his mask. But this is the disgusting part. It's literally the exact same mask that Juventud wore
earlier in the
matches
night.
Beforehand.
Yeah.
Ugh,
It's kind of like the Undertaker wearing Godfather's ring gear.
that was not the Godfather's ring gear.
Oh, it wasn't? I thought it was.
No, that was always the rumor that it was Godfather's snake pants, and it was not. It was the Undertaker's.
Oh, okay.
But for notes
think
from
about
this
it.
one,
Think about it for the Undertaker though, when he dresses like Kane and wears the Kane's mask.
a
Smells
few
like crap in here.
few big notes here. We're obviously on the road to Starrcade. Bischoff says he's not going to fight Larry Zbyszko. Hogan says he's going to end Sting. There's so many fans wearing Sting masks in the crowd, and it's making him angry to the point that he gets outside the ring and is literally in the face of this old lady that was there. And this isn't the only time in this night you see this old lady, and she's getting in the NWO's business. And let me tell you, she is like in Hogan's face, like trying to mess with him and trying to goad him into hitting her. And it was the funniest thing because he's like, what do I do with this old woman? I mean, she's like gotta be 80 some odd.
Yeah, it's a pretty famous clip of her standing on the guardrail reaching for Hogan, and Hogan kind of playing with her, and her trying to like latch onto his face.
I mean,
I
she could have if she wanted. She obviously didn't, but it was
yeah. Do we
it
also
was
get? Is this the week with Flair, or is that next week?
I believe next week. We got JJ Dillon puts Nitro on the line as part of the deal to get Bischoff to fight Larry Zbyszko. That's a later in the night thing.
Yeah,
And
because yeah, that was the thing with Bischoff wasn't gonna fight Zabisco because he didn't want to, or he wanted him to put into Nitro on the line in their match, knowing that Zabisco didn't have the power to do so.
but
But
JJ
then
Dillon
JJ
does.
comes out and says that he does, and then Bischoff comes out, and then you get the funny lines from Zabisco, or from Mean Gene and Bobby Heenan and Gene Okerlund that for the first time ever, Bischoff is speechless.
Yeah, stunned.
So
The end of the night, it was perfect beating DDP with help because, well, DDP was probably going to win. I do believe Big Dick Mike Jones is involved in that fray. Still no idea where Sting is.
we also get Hogan comes out and hits the diamond cutter on Dallas Page on the U.S. title. Everybody wants Sting, but there's no Sting. It's a good build. Evidently, Sting's not been on the show for 4 weeks now. Apparently, though, you're going to find out later on this month that he didn't work on his tan. But all in all, this Nitro was actually pretty fun to watch it through the other night.
The matches were
The
good. The
Scott
matches
Hall,
the whole month are solid.
the whole Scott Hall destroying Disco Inferno was entertaining to watch, just because he's
Disco
destroying Disco.
Fever.
The only thing I don't remember, and I think I might have tuned in late with you, is I don't remember the first 2 matches, but I might have been late.
Probably. Or I might not have been sharing them. You might have been like, oh, you're watching that? Throw it on.
All right, so we're moving on. AJ has a pay-per-view, December 7th, 1997, live from Springfield, Massachusetts, Springfield Civic Center. Only 6,358 people are in attendance.
It's very much a smaller arena.
The tagline is "Attitude is everything." Pun intended, I believe. Storylines going into the pay-per-view. Shawn Michaels and Ken Shamrock are feuding over the WWF title. Slaughter and Triple H are kind of starting their fights. Slaughter challenged Triple H to a boot camp match, and he accepted it. The other feud leading into this, of course, is Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock over the Intercontinental Championship.
And they just started calling him The Rock.
Yeah. Okay. So, opening contest for the. It's kind of weird. You're gonna crown a major champion on a non-major pay-per-view, but Taka Michinoku defeats Brian Christopher for the light heavyweight title, 12 minutes and 2 seconds.
He gets busted up good, Brian Christopher.
Yeah.
I don't know if he bites his lip, but there's a lot of blood.
You must have loved that, did you?
No.
What? He got kicked. I think he gets kicked in the mouth in the match, like a spinning heel kick or something that maybe catches him in the mouth and busts him open pretty good.
I did enjoy Jim Ross telling, "Why don't you go check on your boy? Go check on your boy." Well, if he was my son, I would.
Next up, Los Boricuas. It's the Junior brothers. It's Miguel Perez Jr., Jesus Castillo Jr., and Jose Estrada Jr., with Savio Vega, not a junior, defeating the Disciples of Apocalypse, Chain, 8-Ball, and Skull. Without Crush. I'm going to take a wild guess
They
and
said
say
he's
Crush
hurt.
isn't.
They said
This-
he's hurt.
Okay. He's not hurt. Crush is one of the wrestlers that asked for their release after the Survivor Series screw job. So Brian Adams was granted his release from the WWF, but they play it off as he was injured.
Good. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Because I think you mentioned it months ago that he's not long for WWE.
Yeah. Neidhart, Bulldog, Crush were the ones that left, and Rick Rude was also one that left because of the screw job. The other one that was threatening to leave. Now think how things would have changed if he would have been granted his opportunity to leave. But the other one that was going to leave was Mick Foley.
With what he's about to do?
Yes. Mick Foley was one that was asking for his release after the screw job. But it
Wow.
took Owen talking to him because him and Owen were so close. That's the reason he stayed. Back to this card. We get Butterbean defeating Mark Marrow by disqualification in a tough man competition.
This was entertaining.
I'm going to guess the disqualification was a nut shot.
There was no disqualification.
Well, I'm reading Butterbean defeats Mark Marrow by disqualification.
No, Butterbean grabs Mark Marrow with one hand, and then you could see Mark Marrow just right down.
Nice. It's been a while since I watched this one. I didn't watch this one beforehand.
It was back and forth, but Mark Marrow's stuff was more not allowed.
Yeah. Actually, funny story about this pay-per-view. This pay-per-view I didn't see in the full pay-per-view until the network came out.
Oh wow.
This is one of those pay-per-views that I watched in scrambled television. When I couldn't order pay-per-views, you just turned on the channel and it would be all scrambled, but you could still hear them. And I would watch it and then hope that the screen would clear up enough to be able to see. Because I distinctly remember, and we'll talk about it here in a minute, a moment when the screen cleared and I saw what happened, and I'm like, I really need to watch this pay-per-view. But I didn't get to watch it for like 15 years. So next up, the New Age Outlaws defeat the Legion of Doom by disqualification to retain the tag titles.
Yep. It's still, I feel like they're really going with the Outlaws to just be assholes. They're literally causing teams to get so pissed off at them to say, I don't care about the champion, I want to hurt you.
Yeah. Next up, that boot camp match we were talking about. Triple H defeats Sergeant Slaughter in the boot camp match.
Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Is this
Slaughter?
Is
Slaughter
this
could
the
still
baby powder
go.
spot?
Yes.
Okay, I remember that.
Slaughter could still go, and he took a lot of big moves. Like
this
front flip.
This whole feud with Triple H and Slaughter puts Triple H over a lot.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of nut shots from China, which can't be fun.
No, especially when Triple H goes home to his wife and gives her the bazooka.
All right. Sounds interesting
His
to me.
word, not mine.
I'm gonna need you to really explain this match to me. Jeff Jarrett defeated The Undertaker by disqualification.
Easy. Undertaker beating the crap out of Jeff Jarrett. Kane comes out. Hits Jeff Jarrett first. then tombstones the Undertaker. Or
It's kind of
chokestones the Undertaker.
interesting though, because I think if you look back on the last since Bad Blood, Taker's not been on television.
No, this is his third appearance since
So they
then.
blind build a match between Jeff Jarrett and the Undertaker, only for the Undertaker to lose to Jarrett by disqualification because he beats the hell out of Jeff Jarrett.
Well, here's the thing. It wasn't supposed to be Jeff Jarrett versus the Undertaker. Jeff Jarrett didn't want to have a match against a nobody, so on the Raw previous to this, so Slaughter comes out and says, "Fine, you don't want to have that match? You have a match Sunday with the Undertaker." I see where Teddy Long got it from.
Okay.
Let's not forget we're not but like barely a month removed of Jarrett being on my show.
Stone Cold Steve Austin defeated The Rock with Farouk, D'Lo Brown, and Kama Mustafa in a singles match for the Intercontinental title that only goes 5 minutes and 28 seconds. But from what I remember, because this is the match I watched that was able to see mostly through Scramble Television,
The
it
truck.
is one action-packed 5 minutes and 28 seconds. With the
Yeah.
back body drop spot to D'Lo Brown to the hood of his pickup truck is one of the best memories I have of watching pay-per-views through Scramble Television.
Don't forget about the Ron Simmons. Farouk up against the driver door and just Stone Cold coming out of nowhere with a chair. The Rock moves and Farouk just eats a headshot, and you could just see him.
Stone Cold had a tag partner that night, and it was a Ford pickup truck. I distinctly remember like it being scrambled, and then I hear Jerry Lawler go, "Ah!" and it cleared up, and I just remember seeing D'Lo's feet go up and over and smack the windshield of the truck and bust. It was fun. I remember.
Can we get the replay?
In your main event, Ken Shamrock defeats Shawn Michaels by disqualification for the WWF Championship.
There was
A
so much that happened.
lot of DQs.
There is one clean pin all night, apparently.
It was the first match of the night.
Sorry. The light heavyweight match, the 6-man tag match, and the boot camp match are the only ones that don't have a disqualification on them.
So yeah. Crap. Owen Hart comes back.
You just came back.
What do you mean?
For a second there, when you leaned forward, you got
leaned
all
forward.
dark
You went.
and scary.
It was like a magic there. Oh, where'd you go? Oh, where'd you go? Oh, there you are.
I did it fast enough so I could see myself reappear.
The Dark Gnome is back.
We didn't even say his name.
But yeah, Owen Hart comes back, and there was a moment in this match where Owen Hart is beating up, I think it's Triple H right by the announcer table, where he's got his thumbs in the eye sockets, and I'm like an apple, like.
He's
I was thinking the guy from Game of Thrones.
He's the last Heart. He's the Black Heart. He's the Black Heart, Owen Hart.
He's got a whole new look to him too.
Mm-hmm. And I love this version of Owen Hart's ring music. So when he starts with his
Haven't
ring
heard
music,
it yet.
when you hear it, it's really, really catchy. And all it is it's no words. It's just the music is really cool. Of course, then later on, he joins the Nation, and then they make fun of him and call him a nugget. But that's besides the point. And that's in 1998.
So actually the nugget thing is in a couple weeks. Want to go to TJ's Monday or my Monday?
We'll go to TJ's Monday because he looks like he's gonna fall asleep.
Oh no, sir! I am far from that. Just
why did my taskbar just go to the top of my screen? What the flippity-doo-dah?
Dire need of a decongestion I don't own.
How do I get it to go back down?
I have no clue. I don't know what you did. You done goofed up.
Well, here, I'll get us moving. We are at the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo, New York. I don't have like the capacities and them beautiful informations, but I can tell you that Ray Trailer defeats Conan, Mongo defeats the Barbarian, Dean Malenko will defeat Prince Ikea, Benoit defeats the finally named member of Raven's flock, Lodi. Humorous versus Savage ends in a no contest. Disco Inferno, this is a big one, defeats Saturn to win the WCW World Television Championship. Kind of steals it and gets the hell out of there before the flock murders him. He got the flock out.
I see what you did there.
Buff Bagwell defeats Lex by countout. And DDP defeats Scott Hall versus disqualification. Don't we all just love the DQ finish?
Hey, you're just ripping on me on it.
Well, you were taking a page out of WCW's book. It's their favorite thing to do. Just some notes I had from this one. During the Conan match, the lights go out and it's dark as hell and you can't see anything other than some camera flashes. It kind of felt that way. If you're paying attention, the announcers weren't, you can see Sting. Sting is there and Sting takes out K-Dog with the lights out. And then when the lights come back on, Ray Trailer's standing there. K-Dog's dead. He walks over, foot on him, 1, 2, 3, match over, and he gets the hell out of there before he gets murdered by the NWO. We get the sequence of events leading up to Starrcade is a little weird. We get a vignette from Nash challenging the Giant to a match at Starrcade. Immediately following, the Giant comes out and accepts. I won't lie, I'm looking forward to it. It never happens. Benoit calls out Raven after beating Lodi. He wants to fight him. During the match with Savage, the lights go out again. And if you're paying attention, you can see Sting via camera bulb flashes. The announcers are not paying attention. They don't see Jack Monkey squat.
I fixed it.
Fry and I see it. We're like, oh, hey, look, you can see Sting. And they're like, oh, I don't know what's going on. They come back in and Savage is taken out. We get the title change with Disco winning. Rude comes out and threatens the announce team that if the lights go out again, he's going to beat the hell out of them. And we get a very funny line from Bobby the Brain Heenan that goes, Tony, if you turn to ask me anything if the lights go out again, you're going to be talking to yourself because I'll be gone.
Yeah, Tony makes the comment of if the lights go off, I'm out of here. And Heenan says, if you turn to ask me where I'm going, I'm already gone, so you're on your own.
Late in the DDP versus Hall match, the whole NWO interrupt. They do the whole skit with the dummy again and drop the dummy from the roof through the ring. They beat up DDP. They go to get the dummy out of the hole. Somehow, WW's Infinite Wisdom, or WCW's Infinite Wisdom, the NWO can't tell the weight of a dummy versus the weight of the real Sting, because when they pull the dummy back out of the hole, it's Sting. They kind of prop him up over in the ropes, and Hogan's like, picking fun about the dummy, and finally he goes over to slap the dummy around again like he had done a couple weeks prior. Only he takes the dummy's mask off, and it's Sting. Oh my God. And Hogan is like, ah! And then Sting clears the ring of the NWO, and Hogan is like, oh my God.
Now.
Dude, he's just like, anyway. Yeah, so Sting clears the ring of the NWO, and Hogan is like, oh my God. And that's how Nitro ends for December 8th.
All right.
Sounds like it's my turn. Ryan, do you want to read them off?
Yep.
And I'll stop you when something good happens.
Yep, December 8th, Monday Night Raw, live from Portland Civic Center in Portland, Maine. That's about as close as they'll ever get to TJ again in Vermont.
Hey, no, they come to New Hampshire.
This is they have an arena up there. It's a tiny ass arena, but they have an arena.
The Godwins with the New Age Outlaws defeat the Legion of Doom, ended a no contest. Sorry.
Yeah, Hawk takes a tombstone pile driver from the Big Red Machine,
That'll do it.
and it did not
Uh,
look good at all.
Dude Love defeats Billy Gunn with Road Dog.
Hawk Tua to the mat.
Yeah, they are crapping on everybody. They put an open challenge to anybody smart enough in the back or dumb enough in the back to come out and fight us. We'll even make it a one-on-one contest. And Dude Love hits, and Billy Gunn has the great line. I was like, we wanted one guy, not three.
All right, Flash Funk defeats Kurgan by disqualification. How the hell does that happen?
Well,
Kurgan, the dude from
yes,
the Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's from Sherlock
Sherlock
Holmes.
movies.
it's he got the win by technical knockout, but because he wouldn't release the hold, the referee, who, what do you know, Mike Chioda, reversed the decision.
Gotcha. This is when Kurgan is using the claw hold on the top of the head. Yeah.
And Don Callis just smacks Kurgan as hard as he can. Kurgan stands up and looks at him and goes, and they both start laughing. I was like, Callis is going to die.
I'm in danger.
But before this, we were supposed to have a one-on-one title match for Michinoku and an opponent. Jim Cornette introduces somebody from south of the border. I can't think of his name. Never heard of him. It's a fake. It's Brian Christopher. Great ruse. King and Christopher go back and forth delivering pile drivers. They do this pile driver move where Brian Christopher goes on the top rope, and King has got the pile driver set up, and then just
So he spikes him.
I guess it's like a
It's
bigger
spike.
pile driver. I don't know. But yeah, continue.
So just a rehash of the In Your House pay-per-view. The Los Boricuas defeat the Disciples of Apocalypse, this time in only a tag team match.
Yeah, but here's the issue. DX is playing strip poker on the side of the ring.
Oh, nobody knew
Oh,
that
it's
match
this-
was taking place.
Oh, it's this one.
Jeff Jarrett,
Which
defeats
Sean
Vader
loses
by countout.
epically, by the way.
Yeah, he is very much stripping.
I don't think he minded.
No.
Jeff Jarrett defeats
no sock in
Vader
his
by
drawers this time?
countout in 40 seconds. I'm gonna take Vader or Kane again.
Yeah.
Salvatore Sincere, Tom Brady, shout out to him, defeats Mark Mero by countout in 46 seconds.
That's more of it. I think it's Potato Sack Night, if I'm right. Give me a sec, I'm looking. Yeah, it's Potato Sack Night. So everybody's distracted.
And in case you don't know what we're talking about, just go Google Sable Potato Sack.
There's like that much of clothing on her, and it's only over the Tom Brandy's face when she rips that sack off. He's just
The tag is the biggest piece of cloth on the entire thing she's wearing. And I don't even think there's a tag.
And Mero is going absolutely crazy, which Brandy picks up the win. Yeah.
And your dark matches, Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Legion of Doom and The Undertaker defeat the Nation of Domination of D'Lo Brown, Farouk, Kama Mustafa, and The Rock in an 8-man tag team match.
The main event of this show is Stone Cold surrendering the Intercontinental title to The Rock. Rock gets the title.
Why did he have to surrender?
I actually don't know. He's not hurt, because I think it's storyline related, because then he beats up The Rock, takes the belt, and holds it hostage like The Rock did weeks before. He goes, I have bigger fish to fry. And
fish.
It was like a possession 9/10 of the law thing. I mean,
No, it was Stone Cold's belt, and he goes, It's either you fight The Rock or you surrender the belt to The Rock." And he goes, "I've already beaten his ass. I'm not doing it again." "Well, then you're gonna give him the belt." He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna give him the belt."
And then he has fish to fry.
Well,
All right.
he does keep the belt, even though he's technically not the champion anymore.
So December the 15th, Monday Night Nitro. Live from the Independence Arena in Charlotte, North Kakalaki. The show starts with Ray Traylor defeating Vincent.
Big Dick Mike Jones.
The
You did this.
television
You did this, and I'm gonna make you live to regret it.
the television championship is defended when Disco Inferno defeats Yuji Nagata. Fit Finlay defeats Dean Malenko.
Eddie on commentary.
Juventud Guerrera and Rey Mysterio Jr. defeats La Parca and Psychosis. Good thing it wasn't Psychosis and Juventud on. Well, they are in the same match. I wonder how. I bet they made sure they had two masks. Scott Hall defeats Chris Jericho. The Steiner brothers defeat Conan and Scott Norton by DQ to retain the tag titles. Randy Savage defeats Booker T. Chris Benoit defeats Scotty Riggs. Buff Bagwell defeats Lex Luger. This says by DQ, but I believe it was by countout. And then Ric Flair defeats Kurt Hennig by disqualification in a U.S. Championship title match.
You can imagine how that went.
Any notes? I'm gonna imagine that the NWO struck at the end. Any
start
Sting
off
appearances?
Start off the night. Hogan and the NWO are in the ring, running down the Coward Sting. The announcers tell us Bret Hart will be making his Nitro debut this evening. We get several NWO vignettes tearing into all their enemies across the board. Goldberg takes Mongo out backstage. They got a big brawl coming up at Starrcade. Arn Anderson promises to Kurt Hennig that his issues with Flair are far from over. He finally came back for a spot. JJ Dillon gets into some match details dispute with Bischoff. Bischoff says he wants an NWO ref or he's not doing the match. And Bischoff tells him he can choose any member of the NWO to be that ref. JJ says, any member. He goes, any member. He goes, perfect. I select Bret the Hitman Hart. Bret comes out and tells Bischoff not to look for him for help, as Bret knows all about getting screwed by referees. We finally get Hogan and crew back in the ring to close the show after taking out Flair's knee, shelving him for what it looks like. They're gloating. The lights go out. Sting is seen in the rafters. They come back on and they're looking for him again, and they go out again, and then Sting's on top of the entranceway. And it's building to this beautiful thing. And then go to hell, WCW. The show goes off air as he's headed to the ring.
Thought that was part of it for a second there.
Oh, you're gonna find an overlaying theme the rest of the month.
I do remember that.
So what's going on, everybody in the chat? Hit that like button, subscribe, follow. We are about halfway through the December month with WCW, Monday Night Nitro, and Monday Night Raw for the WWF side. Chat room's open. You guys remember or have gone back and seen anything from 1999? It's currently 5-5. July was a wash.
1997, not 1999.
97, going back to
you
97.
said 99.
I did say 99.
He wants to party like it's 99.
Why
Like a steak from 99.
Going to go and get started with the next thing. December 15th, Raw is from Durham, New Hampshire.
Sure.
They don't even have the name of the arena. It just says Durham, New Hampshire.
I didn't know there was a Durham, New Hampshire.
Durham? It's the Whitmore Arena. And they spelled center right.
Well, before any matches get started, there's an interview with
I didn't get a Canada joke out of that.
There is an interview with The Undertaker that Vince McMahon has, and it's basically talking about Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker for Royal Rumble. And Kane comes out, and they're just staring at each other. Kane does some sort of, we're the same height, and just bitch slaps The Undertaker out of nowhere. And Paul Bearer is just laughing his butt off. It's brewing. Like, I kind of wish we can go right into 98 here just for some of this stuff.
Don't give me any ideas.
No, I'm hoping we go to like the mid 2000s when it really sucked.
So your opening match for the night is Taka Michinoku defeats Jerry Lawler by DQ.
Mm-hmm.
Dude Love defeats the Road Dogg again this week. Mark Henry defeats the Brooklyn Brawler, which should happen because the Brooklyn Brawler always loses. Salvatore Sincere is no longer Salvatore Sincere. He is Tom Brady, and he defeats the Sultan with the Iron Sheik. Steve Blackman defeats Jose Estrada with Savio Vega. And the Legion of Doom defeats D-Generation X by DQ. Is this where the New Age Outlaws come and they destroy the Road Warriors?
Yep.
The power bomb through the table to Animal, and then they shave off half of Road Warrior Hawk's hair.
Yeah. It makes me think that
I remember watching this as a kid, and I was so pissed off that they were doing this to the LOD.
Yeah, it makes me think the Road Warriors are kind of out, like they're burying them.
Yeah. Your dark match for this Monday Night Raw: The Undertaker defeats Triple H in a casket match.
Yeah, it's like they're preparing for something. But back to that Tom Brady match. After he wins, immediately Mark Merrow hits the ring. And
what did he hit the ring for? What did it do?
It starts beating up Tom Brady. Dude Love going up against now Road Dogg. We're gonna see that intensify over the next couple weeks.
Ryan, the next time you're gonna drop one of those, let me know and I'll hit this.
But yeah, Mark Henry. We haven't seen Mark, or at least I haven't seen Mark Henry at all this year.
If you watch the Undertaker podcast with Mark Henry, you know he was in Canada because he got punished because he threatened to kill the Clique.
Oh.
Because he thought they stole his crutches, and it wasn't them, it was Paul Bearer the whole time.
Oh. So we also had a segment where the Nation of Domination gets in the ring and they're calling out Stone Cold Steve Austin to give back the belt. And per Vince McMahon, they have Steve Austin has an X amount of time to give back the belt or something happens. Well, that doesn't happen. They hit the ring later in the show. I'm sorry. They get in the ring later on in the show and they're like, Stone Cold, it's time. Give me what's mine.
I love how you just went Stone Cold, like you went Stone Cold to say Stone Cold when it was The Rock.
I just want you to know that I don't control the voices that come out of my head.
Like Stone Cold, Stone Cold. Wait.
But then
like I'm talking to a goddamn mirror.
But then Stone Cold shows up on the Titantron, and he's on a bridge.
Remember, he had fish to fry.
And he goes, I'm really not fans of the WWF, but I'm really not fans of you, and I hate doing this. And he chucks the IC title into the river.
Can you imagine being the guy that was saw all this happen and went, shit, I'm going to get that.
They probably had people in there.
No. Here's the bad part. That wasn't the Intercontinental title he threw into the river. It was a broken WWF tag team title.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was just a broke, defective WWF tag title. I still would have jumped in the river after it, though.
Well, yeah.
Could you imagine nowadays going, I've got the river belt?
Yeah, it being defective probably means it's worth a crap ton of money.
Yeah.
I think more the fact that he threw it in the river on live TV and you were dumb enough to recover it in fucking December in New Hampshire.
Don't worry, they got good health care in Canada.
It's free.
It's the other part of our puzzle piece up here.
All right. So
killed HA.
December the 22nd is an ultra special Nitro. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduced
As
you-
Ryan Fry told me, oh, it's that Nitro.
I introduced to you that this is no longer this episode of Nitro is not WCW Monday Nitro.
Well, it starts that way.
December the 22nd Monday Night Nitro is rebranded into the NWO Monday Night Nitro for one night only and literally waste 25 minutes of TV time
A segment and a
change the set.
half
To
as
change the
they
set.
dismantle every WCW you know the big like diamond plate WCW things next to the entry, those get knocked over, banners from the rafters are ripped down, the little like Nitro icons on the announce desk, the overhead of the entranceway. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen for 25 minutes. Why didn't they have this shit already loose and ready to come off? Like,
Because it's WCW planning.
oh,
So yeah, this is live from Macon, Georgia. And
big arena, by the way. At least it looked it from the videoing.
yeah. So your matches ran through as followed. Fit Finlay defeats Eddie Guerrero by countout. Steve Mongo McMichael defeats Ming. Hector Guerrero, Juventud Guerrera, and Rey Mysterio Jr. defeat La Parca, Psychosis, and Silver King. Chris Benoit defeats Hammer by DQ. Rick Steiner defeats Scott Norton by DQ. Kurt Hennig defeats the US champion. Kurt Hennig defeats the TV champion Disco Inferno to retain the US title. Harlem Heat defeat Lodi and Riggs. Buff Bagwell defeats Chris Jericho. And in the main event, Randy Macho Man Savage defeats Lex Luger.
Savage.
Notes for this one: we do get a vignette at the top of the show from the NWO and the Giant hyping their big clash at Starrcade. DDP calls out Henning because of the injury that Henning delivered to Flair. DDP calls him out to take his spot. Another spot. We come back from the commercial. We get the NWO removing all the crap. It was, like I said, it took forever. The majority of the episode, honestly, is the NWO. Like, mind you, this is right before Christmas. They're giving gifts to Hogan. They're celebrating themselves. He ends up getting like 2 or 3 motorcycles. One of them was really cool, by the way. A Mercedes like limo thing with a jacuzzi tub in the back. They come out 3 or 4 different times throughout the night and celebrate Hogan. The matches, honestly, like you could tell, it was if the NWO was involved, they were winning the match, or somebody was getting murdered and they were losing by DQ. The end of the night gets very interesting as it's Hogan and Bischoff back in the ring, and there's another gift to be had, but you can see Bischoff's like, this one isn't for me. I don't know what this is. Literally with like minutes remaining in the show, Hogan opens it up and it's his like a decapitated version of his head. And he is like, again, stunned and shocked, and what is happening? And Bret Hart starts walking out. And then behind Bret, you can see up on top of the entryway, Sting is standing there with a zip line. And as the show goes off air, Sting zip lines to the ring.
This isn't good. I don't like where this is going.
By the way, just so you both are aware, the NWO Monday Nitro and the Monday Night Raw that happened on the same night occurred 27 years ago today.
I'm old.
27 years ago today.
So it looked like people enjoyed Monday Night Raw, but not Nitro.
So Monday Night Raw on December the 22nd is coming from Lowell, Massachusetts in the Memorial Auditorium. And this is a pretty special Raw, if I'm not mistaken, because Sergeant Slaughter
Don't let me cut in, but let me mention that was the go home show to Starrcade.
Okay. Sergeant Slaughter at the beginning of the show makes it so that it's Triple H versus Shawn Michaels for the European Championship.
Hold on, but you don't want to talk about what happens before that?
I don't really want to talk about where they hung the mistletoe.
It's that episode, TJ, where they're in the robes and they just whoosh,
Yeah.
banana hammocks, and
They have giant banana hammocks for little bananas.
it was cold in there.
And they
Um,
have
The
Merry
socks to stuff.
they have Merry Christmas written on their ass cheeks. Or it's not Christmas though, it's Merry Xmas. But
and yeah,
Slaughter makes them face each other for the European title, and throughout this, I remember this episode for that, like it's kind of been done before, when
So
when
did they have little
Hunter
cherries on the mistletoe, or were they
Yes.
just
when
Yes.
Hunter and Flair did it later on Raw in the mid 2000s, where it's been the whole story, the whole night was they've amped up that they're actually going to wrestle each other. They kind of play along with it that that's not going to be a joke, that they're going to really wrestle each other, and Triple H has got something to prove to Shawn Michaels. But before we get there, Thrasher defeats Henry O. Godwin by DQ.
yeah, he gets his butt whooped and whipped, like legit whipped.
Rocky Maivia and The Undertaker go to a no contest. They give him 10 minutes and 15 seconds. Sounds interesting. Early Rock and Taker. I might have to go back and actually watch the beginning of this one. Mark Mero with Sable defeats Scott Taylor, aka Scotty Too Hottie, in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Kurgan defeats 8 Ball by 2 minutes.
We'll go
I
back
mean,
and
I
talk
don't
about
think
a lot of this stuff.
I think everybody could take down an 8 Ball in 2 minutes. Ken Shamrock defeats D'Lo Brown. There seems to be a trend here. 2 minutes and 22 seconds. This must not have been this only must have been a 1 hour Raw.
It was an hour and a half Raw. There was a lot of other segments, like the European title match was to get started coming out of that Warzone. Like once we went to Warzone, but they get jumped. Trying to see who they got jumped by.
Okay, we're good here though. Triple H defeats Shawn Michaels to win the WWF
Oh,
European
they get jumped by
title.
Owen Hart. I'm dumb.
Yeah, in 1 minute and 17 seconds as they literally come to the ring, prepare for their match. They do the old video game running across the ring, and literally just Triple H or Shawn lays down, Triple H pins him, and we have a new world or European champion. And all they do is stand up. They look Sergeant Slaughter right in the face and say, "Suck it."
We duped you.
Yeah.
Back to the Mark Mero and Scott Taylor. Sable is in a giant reindeer costume, and I am very happy that she's not in that reindeer costume very long. She turns into Mrs. Claus,
Oh, nice.
and that will put me on the nice list for the rest of my life.
The dark match for this Raw: The Undertaker defeats Triple H in a casket match again.
I feel like they're preparing for him and Shawn.
Yeah, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna skip ahead. Yes, you have Starrcade, and you have a Nitro left, but we're gonna go ahead and wrap AJ up.
Yeah.
The December 29th Monday Night Raw is from the Nassau Coliseum from Long Island, New York. The Disciples of Apocalypse defeat the Los Boricuas in a 6-man tag match,
To start the show, we get Baby New Year.
which is Dustin dressed as Baby New Year, correct?
Yeah, and Stone Cold's got a present for him.
This is a big blue building, right?
Yeah, the big porta potty.
Yeah, the Crapper 316.
Yeah.
Yeah, he puts him in the Crapper.
And then
where he
flips it.
belongs.
I was expecting him to get out of there covered in at least that blue shit that's in there.
Yeah.
We're getting teases that Mike Tyson might be coming for an appearance to WWF.
Yeah. Ken Shamrock defeats Kama Mustafa. Ryan Christopher and Jerry Lawler defeat George the Animal Steel and Taka Michinoku.
Yep. Oh,
Cactus. Go ahead.
DX changed their name, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
It's double DX now for China's new enhancements.
I remember that. Cactus Jack defeats the Road Dogg. Owen Hart defeats Shawn Michaels by DQ in a WWF Championship match. They give him 10 minutes and 14 seconds.
There is a lot of discourse with the Nation of Domination right now. You could really tell that The Rock is taking over and Farouk doesn't like it. We had another Cornette corner, wherever they call it. He's shitting on everybody, saying that the wrestling world is fucking awful. Like, it's in a very bad state right now. And holy crap, this was also the episode where Vince does his say your prayers and eat your vitamins is passe. You know, he does that whole speech. And I was like, why 97?
Good guys versus bad guys.
It's like we get to December and I'm like,
and taking your vitamins is so passe.
oh, I want 98 because I know where we're going.
Yeah. And your dark match, Cactus Jack, Steve Austin, Terry Funk, and The Undertaker defeat the Nation of Domination in an 8-man tag match. So we end up 1997. Your last match of the year for television is Owen Hart defeating Shawn Michaels by DQ. If I could sum up WWF on TV in one word, it's really 2 letters.
DQ.
DQ. Yeah.
Yeah, Triple H takes his crutch, which apparently he blew out his knee.
Yes, he blew. I believe he splits his kneecap in half. Yeah.
Doesn't Tank Dell know about kneecap injuries? You know, the guy for Houston.
We are headed to one of my favorite venues I've ever been to, the MCI Center in Washington, D.C. It's been the MCI Center. It's been the phone booth. It's been Capital One Arena.
The first ever WCW production from this very new venue.
Because it's brand new. Dog.
I know. They said it at the top of the show.
December the 28th, 1997. 17,500 in attendance. I unfortunately didn't attend this pay-per-view for another 3 years in the same building. The tagline is Hogan's a colorful guy, but his nightmare is black and white, and paybacks are hell.
It's 18
months in the making.
I will give WCW credit for this. The video packages with Sting and the rain and the wind and all of that stuff, I was high on.
They tap back into the little kid.
I was such a Hulk Hogan fan, an NWO fan, but the vignettes of the Crow Sting made me a Sting fan more. That at this point, I was a Sting guy more than I was NWO. I was looking forward to watching Sting win the world title at this pay-per-view based off the vignettes that they ran. I love one of my favorite all-time promos is the kid promo.
And they tap back into that. They have like a
play
electric netting thing hanging, and they it was really cool how they did it in the arena.
The kid promo before his entrance is still one of the biggest things that gives me chills listening to it than anything I've listened to in the last 37 years of being a wrestling fan. I absolutely love the kid promo of this build.
The matches were all pretty good. Eddie Guerrero defeats Dean Malenko. That was a slugfest.
Before we get there, though, one of the matches being postponed.
I had a note, sir.
I know. Shut up. Nash no-shows this for health reasons. He just no-shows it. There's no health reasons. But Kevin Nash no-shows this event. for him in the Giants match. It actually gets rescheduled for January's pay-per-view and sold out because they make it so that the WCW executives make Kevin Nash post a $1.5 million appearance bond, meaning that he has to show up or he has to pay $1.5 million. The only benefit to Nash is he has a benefactor behind him by the name of Hollywood Hulk Hogan that pays for it. In the process, though, for them to put up the bounty fee for the appearance fee, the only stipulation that they have is that the Giant cannot touch Kevin Nash for the entire month leading up to their match at Sold Out. And of course, Nash takes advantage of that. Nash gets in Giant's face, throws coffee in his face. There's an episode, WCW Thunder launches in January. And they have a match, I believe it's Scott Hall versus the Giant. And Nash throws coffee in Giant's face. And this is one of the first times ever. This is before Big Show and Brock made the ring explode and all that kind of stuff. But the Giant pushes the ring post over and makes the ring collapse. With Scott Hall standing in the ring, and Scott takes a wicked bump from the ring collapsing to vent his frustration with Kevin Nash. He literally grabs the ring post and pushes it and destroys the ring. It's a pretty iconic spot on one of the first episodes of Thunder. But I thought I'd give you guys that information on what happens here. That's also the Sold Out match. Coffee gets involved again. And then there's the powerbomb spot that is pretty iconic where we saw earlier this year, I believe it was, when we were at one of the early pay-per-views where we had the Giant and Luger versus the Outsiders, where Nash powerbombs the Giant with ease, like no problem whatsoever with the powerbomb. This time he throws coffee in his face, and the idea is that he slips and he drops the Giant on his head, and it deems that the powerbomb then gets banned for basically injuring the Giant. And we go into this whole story where the Giant's got a neck brace on, and that Kevin Nash is now the big sexy, the Giant killer, Kevin Nash. So that's just where that story leads. I know it kind of ends. We're ending up this year, and we don't get to go in to see where they finish, but that's where that finishes.
Not yet.
Not yet, you're right. So, the rundown, you got Eddie Guerrero defeats Dean Malenko for the Cruiserweight title. That seems like a pretty solid match for 15 minutes.
It was entertaining to watch.
The NWO, Randy Savage, Scott Norton, and Vincent.
Big Dick Mike Joe!
With Miss Elizabeth defeats Ray Traylor and the Steiner brothers in a 6-man tag by pinfall.
Savage was not supposed to be the original NWO member in this. He just
I wonder who it was.
I think it was supposed to be Buff, maybe? I don't know.
Well, Buff was facing Luger.
I know, but they pulled a switcheroo. And out came Savage, and everybody was like, "Oh, this gives them the edge."
It seems
like this whole pay-per-view was kind of like a NWO versus WCW trying to tip the balance of the scales again for power.
It seems like that should have been Conan.
I think that was, yes, actually. I think it was supposed to be K-Dog.
Yeah.
And Savage takes his place.
And then we get Goldberg defeats Steve McMichael by pinfall.
Good match. They beat the hell out of each other for a little bit.
Keep in mind, Goldberg is the heel.
Yeah, I don't think for much longer.
People forget Goldberg is the heel in this match.
I don't think for much longer after this.
Saturn with Raven defeats Benoit by submission in a Raven's Rules match. This was supposed to be Benoit versus Raven, and it gets changed.
Yeah, Raven didn't want to fight him again. He's the whole I'm not conforming. And Benoit has the upper hand for a good chunk of this match. I think he even dives into the flock at one point on the way to the ring, starts beating on him. But eventually the numbers game just, it was Ravens rules, meaning they could screw them at any point in time. And when it looked like he was going to win,
So
they jumped him.
it's kind of funny. The build for all this was Benoit defeated every member of the flock until they got to Saturn.
But kept getting beat on. Like he'd beat him and then they'd all jump him.
Buff Bagwell defeats Lex Luger by pinfall. And they get 6. The longest match of the night is Buff Bagwell versus Lex Luger. Wow.
But to that end, these guys had a good match. And they were building this. They're building Buff as the new total package. And honestly, he's over his shit even for being the bad guy. People are digging Buff.
So it was a 16-minute and 36-second match, which means it was 6 minutes of posing.
And Lex has, at one point, the match, it seems, in hand. And, NWO, they managed to sneak one out.
All right. Diamond Dallas Page defeats Kurt Hennig by pinfall to win the United States Championship in 10 minutes and 52 seconds.
Bang! Yeah, we got a new champion. That was a big one. The beginning part of the night, it seemed the NWO could do no wrong, and it slowly derails as the night goes on. You want to hit the next one?
We have Eric Bischoff with Scott Hall loses to Larry Zbyszko, with a special guest referee being Bret the Hitman Hart.
I like how they say loses. There isn't a pin. There isn't a submission. There isn't, well, really anything that you could call a clear and definitive winner of this match, other than at the end of it, Bret Hart raises Larry's hand.
Well, according to Wikipedia, Bret Hart awarded Zbyszko the victory after disqualifying Bischoff for having a steel plate in his boot.
So Hall tries to put this little plate thing. I don't know if I'm sure you've seen it. Bischoff is wearing these kick boot things. I think they're
He's
a
wearing
kickboxing
gear because he's a kickboxer.
And so they try to put the plate thing in the boot, except when Bischoff goes to kick him, the thing absolutely takes a left turn and flies out of the ring. Never even actually hits Larry. It just flies out of the ring. But Bret sees it and is like, and of course Larry plays it up like he got hit in the head with a piece of steel. But yeah, I mean, Bret, eventually takes out Hall and puts him in the sharpshooter. And Larry just kind of beats on Bischoff for a minute, and hands are raised. Larry wins. Nitro stays in WCW's possession. That was the big thing with this, because if they lost, it would forever be NWO Nitro.
All right.
Yeah.
And then in your main event, the man known as Sting.
Now there's a note for this. There's a big note that's important. At the beginning of the night,
we're going to have a nice conversation about this.
Give us the result.
But Sting defeats Hollywood Hulk Hogan for the WCW World Heavyweight title. And I believe it was earlier in the night it was announced that it was a new DQ match.
I don't know about that. I know that the big note with this was at the top of the show, all of the WCW referees, just referees in general, all their names were put into a hat, and then a name was drawn.
Oh yeah, that's right.
From the hat, from the competition committee in present with JJ Dillon. Nick Patrick's name is drawn. Mean Gene's like, whoa, I don't know about that. Guy's got a history.
Mm-hmm.
Did they botch this? Do you know? Because at the end of the match, Hogan pins Sting in what is allegedly a fast 3 count. I don't know how fast 3 counts look to the average eye, but it was a 1, 2, 3 in my book. Hogan's still your champion. But before the bell can ring, Bret Hart's standing there going, nah.
I don't know if we could show all that jiggle.
No, that's not how this is going to end. I'm done with referees screwing people. The match restarts. Sting gets the jump on Hogan, back in the ring, hits him with the splash, puts him in the Scorpion Deathlock in front of Brett. He submits. Sting's your champion. Every member of the WCW locker room who was attending at ringside in the crowd runs into the ring. Sting's Rudy on top of everybody's shoulders. The WCW has control, the fanfare, the bell.
He's not on everybody's shoulders. He's in the Giant's arms like a big baby.
Oh, they're passing him around pretty much. I mean, everybody is in the ring, even people that hate each other. They make mention of it.
It depends on who you ask. If you ask Nick Patrick, he did what he was supposed to do, pin the 1, 2, 3. If you ask the other ones, it was supposed to be a fast count, and then the Bret Hart interjection caused the match to restart, and then Sting wins the world title. It's, to me, a prime example of too many cooks in the kitchen. I love Hulk Hogan to death. There's been the conversation between him and Bischoff where they didn't feel like Sting was prepared to be the world champion again. The joke is that he wasn't tan enough. I believe there was so many different misconstrued ideas for the day and no straight answer given to everybody that there was 3 finishes for this match in people's minds going into it.
And nobody told Nick Patrick the actual plan.
Well, it was what Hogan had planned, what Sting had planned, and what Nick Patrick was told. That's kind of how it works out for me. Was it a major letdown after the build? Yes, majorly. It deflated this whole story of Sting being the conqueror for WCW over the NWO to win the world title from Hogan, who had been the world champion for a year other than 1 week when he decided to let Luger be the champ for the week in the week of August.
Or when Piper beat him, but they didn't acknowledge it as real.
It totally deflated everything, in my opinion. It totally deflated everything that they had built with Sting, and they had to try to come up with a new game plan moving forward, which we're not getting into 1998. But
we've got a Nitro where they try to retcon the shit out of it.
Yeah, they try to make it plausible, fixable stuff, which we'll get to here in a minute. But this was definitely the first one of WCW pay-per-views that was a absolute major letdown. And it's mainly because of the main event. The rest of the card was okay.
Isn't Starrcade their WrestleMania?
It's yeah. AJ,
Starrcade
yes.
to the fans has always been the WrestleMania for WCW. If you ask Eric Bischoff, their bigger show was more Halloween Havoc.
Even that was kind of a dud?
Yeah.
Actually, name me a pay-per-view this year for WCW that wasn't a dud.
I mean, all your Clash of Champions sounded like they were good, but I don't think those are considered pay-per-views.
They were special events.
The
29th Nitro, do we want to hit it?
Your Super Brawl in February was fantastic. Your Spring Stampede was fantastic. Your early month show pay-per-views were fine.
And those are the months I lost.
I feel like you picked a yeef. I'm very nervous about Ryan's judgment at the end of this. What's up, Chief? Merry Christmas to you. Hope you have a very happy holiday. We are just finishing December now. I think TJ and Ryan are going to go over one more Nitro to close out the year, and then the judge, the Guru, will give his verdict and who's going to go as tribute to get sacrificed to the Guru.
December the 29th, Monday Night Nitro, live from Baltimore, Maryland, the Baltimore Arena. What a way to finish the year. Your opening contest. He's not just Goldberg, he's Bill Goldberg, and he defeated Glacier.
He
Chris
wins again.
Benoit defeats Hammer. Ultimo Dragon defeats Eddie Guerrero to win the WCW Cruiserweight title.
And he's headed for some New Japan IGP Junior World Championship thing.
IWGP.
This should
Yeah.
be the IWGP Junior World Cup.
He's going to do that immediately
The
following
it's
winning the belt.
G1. It's the G1 Classic.
My personal opinion, WCW gave him the belt to go show it off there.
Yes.
Most likely, yes. Diamond Dallas Page defeats Mortis, James Vandenberg, to retain his newly won WCW United States Championship. And Booker T is no longer in a tag team at the moment. Booker T defeats Disco Inferno to win his first of 5, I believe, WCW television championships.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's 5 because all he kept saying was 5 time, 5 time, 5 time, 5 time, 5 time.
That was of WCW World Championships, you numbskull.
I thought that's what you
Kurt
said.
Hennig with Rick Rude defeated Chris Jericho.
Jericho has a meltdown post-match. I believe this is the beginning of a heel turn for him.
Possibly. But Lex Luger defeats Buff Bagwell with Scott Norton. And then in the main event, a rematch from Starrcade. Hulk Hogan.
Don't.
Hogan,
Just say that. Don't leave it there. Leave it there. I've got you.
versus
I've
Sting.
got you. Just leave it there. Don't. Please let me have it. Please. We'll get to it. Let me hit the notes real quick, because they're really not that much of importance. Brett comes out, admonishes the NWO, compares them to Vince, and the WWE is corrupt. Bischoff and Hogan claim Hogan was robbed. We all kind of agree. Want some answers. The start of the second hour, Bobby the Brain Heenan came back out on the NWO Nitro and pleaded his case to work for them. They all get on his case when he comes back out to weasel his way back onto the broadcast team, saying, "Oh, I did it for WCW. Where were you guys?" And that whole thing. The whole match that they're covering, you might as well have forgot about, because they weren't talking about it. They were talking about how Tenay came out and he's like, "Well, I was being held hostage." It was dumb. JJ Dillon says the result of Starrcade stands, but Sting has offered Hogan a rematch at the end of the night if he dares. Bischoff comes out and agrees on Hogan's behalf a little while later. This is that retcon moment. And to close out 1997, we're having the match we all wish we had the night before. And WCW goes off air before the finish. Are you flipping kidding me? It ends in a no contest. Not that we'll know. Oh my God, I wanted to die. The third freaking night in a row, we're getting what we want, Hogan and Sting, and they go off air. Who is running this freaking circus? Oh my God. Okay, I'm done now. Rant over.
You could have skipped December, it sounds like, because there are no payoffs. It's all off the air.
You know, the payoff is we're done this, finally. Oh my God. If this doesn't sum up WCW, I don't know what does. I just...
For what Ryan said, it gets better for both of us in 98. Or at least better for me. I don't know.
I got a year-end take on it. The best part about redoing this whole thing for me has been the fact of getting to see Hall and Nash in their prime when they showed up, and working, and Hogan when he's there. It's great getting to see Piper, before all these guys are old and brittle and can't do crap.
Or dead.
Right. I mean, I made note, there's only a handful of guys still wrestling from this era.
Sorry, Ryan.
But it's the truth. I mean, you look at Lex now, and Lex is a shadow of himself. You wouldn't even, you're like, that's Lex Luger? What?
He's in a wheelchair, isn't he?
Yep. He's working with, apparently, DDP. Ryan was just telling me this, to try to be able to walk again. But it's just, it was really cool getting to see these guys when they were on TV and showed up. The Steiner brothers, Just, it was excellent. It was a great time. We call these guys legends now. This is why. That is my year-end take. Please, God, put me on my misery and give him the win.
No, please don't. I don't want to play Ryan.
I don't know how I can win. 4 of my finishes were not even on TV or
So,
sucked.
My whole year in review kind of thing. A lot of this was the first time I've ever seen any of this stuff. I've seen clips of the important stuff or matches of the important stuff, but actually from beginning to end, it was nice to see how storylines started and finished, and how we're gonna miss a couple storylines because we're stopping, which I might on my own continue, just because it's getting hot in WWE. It's getting really hot in WWE. Hi Sable. Hi Sonny. Wink. But no, the screw job, DX starting, now that Triple H or Hunter Hearst Helmsley is being called Triple H and The Rock is being called The Rock. The Rock joins the Nation of Domination. All these factions.
How long before we get more DX members?
When Sean goes away. So end of January? Because that's when, or no, after Mania. Because he hurts his back at the Rumble. He stays till Mania.
He hurts his back at Rumble, stays until Mania, and then DX reforms the next night on Raw.
With the guys that have been getting heat for a while.
Mm-hmm. The original plan was for them to join Hunter and Sean for DX. I mean, they still join Hunter and Sean. It's just a different Sean later on.
X-Pac. So Ryan, what before you give everybody their execution orders, tell everybody who wins. Going back, rewatching a lot of this, what are your thoughts of seeing it again?
For me, it's home. It's like right in the middle, right at the beginning of middle beginning. It's where my real love for this business and wrestling in general really started to hit its stride. I was 10 years old at the end of this year, and I was religiously watching Monday nights with the go back button between channel 17 and channel 21, the USA Network and TNT. It was go back and forth. I didn't even care who was playing on Monday Night Football. At this age, I could have cared less. And I was watching as many pay-per-views as I could. I think I watched most of these pay-per-views. There's a couple that we talked about that I watched through Scramble, but actually watching them live, I watched a good portion of these pay-per-views. And this is really where the wrestling business in general was starting to pick up enough steam mainstream wise that everybody was starting to tune in. You would see a lot of celebrities showing up that were either wanted to be a part of the NWO or was wearing NWO merch or WCW merch. And then you had ones that were showing up on the other show telling people to suck it, or they were wearing an Austin 316 shirt. You were seeing that more in the mainstream, whether they were playing football or on television. You were seeing more wrestling influence stuff. So it's fun to go back and watch this for me anyway. I do this on a normal basis at least once or twice a year, where I'll just sit back and watch an entire year. And I'll go in order just like we did with the Raws leading to a pay-per-view, or when it gets here in the later years where it's Nitro and Thunder and then a pay-per-view, or Raw and SmackDown and a pay-per-view. I religiously sit down and will watch an entire year show, and I love doing it. It makes me, some of the stuff is fun because some of the stuff I actually don't remember, and seeing it again or seeing it for the first time and realizing, oh yeah, I forgot that, or thinking something happened one time and realizing it didn't happen another time. So it's been fun. The months have been fun. We had our July where it was a push. The year of 1997 is a elevated year for professional wrestling. 1998 is arguably the best year of both companies. So you're right on the cusp of those. So if I rule this a push in December, I feel like it's only fair that we do December next.
No, I don't think TJ caught that. I don't think TJ caught that at all.
No.
It means we have to do 98 now. All of 98.
No.
I understood what Ryan said immediately.
Tendering my resignation.
Oh,
Be in your inbox in minutes.
well, cool.
I'll make it interesting for 1998.
You get your chair.
Nah.
You can keep it.
You guys stay on Raw and you stay on Nitro. And I'll cover ECW.
ECW had weekly programming?
Yeah, ECW Hardcore TV.
Is that on Peacock too?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit. I didn't know that.
I can either cover ECW or I can cover the new show that WCW introduces, and I
Thunder?
cover Thunder. But 1998 is by far the best year in professional wrestling. The Attitude Era kicks off. Stone Cold Steve Austin is on his way to being the world champion. Fucking TJ looks like he's got pink eye. The NWO is more powerful than they've ever been, or are they? We start getting the splinter groups of the NWO. It's a lot of fun for 1998, and it would be all three of us involved.
I'm in. I get to keep WWE, so I'm happy. I don't want to go off the air and not realize what happened.
Fine. We'll do it this way. And this is the way we'll do it. AJ gets the win. AJ wins 1997.
That ain't a pity win, right?
That way, it's now AJ versus the Guru for 1998. And I will cover Nitro and Thunder and pay-per-views, and you cover Raw and pay-per-views.
SmackDown doesn't start till 99, right?
Yeah, and now TJ moves into the pick a winner role.
I like that better.
Mainly because if we make TJ do this again, we're going to lose him halfway through.
I don't think I make the month of January, Bob.
Ryan, him picking the winner as we're talking about what's going on in our shows.
Granted, I give the guy a lot of credit right now. He has some sort of sinus infection and his eyes are all watery and it looks like he just watched the Notebook looking at how watered up his glasses are. But
it's rough, dog. It's rough.
Originally the plan was the winner of this was going to fight me in probably the years of probably like 2003. It was going to be Raw versus SmackDown.
98 was so good. Why'd we do 97?
Because you guys, one of you picked it.
You did.
You could have been like, hey, I suggest 98. I'm smart.
Ryan.
Well, no, because I wanted you to do the screw jobs.
Why don't
we start in November?
Why don't we still do Raw versus SmackDown? Give it a little break of WCW and WWF.
I'm fine with that.
And
I'll fight you in 2002. That's the first year of the brand split.
At least pick a good year where we're both going to be entertained.
The first year of the brand split.
Okay.
I'll take SmackDown.
Is that the McMahon and Ric Flair.
You get Raw, I get SmackDown.
Okay, you could have thrown me either one.
Keep in mind, SmackDown, I have Hulk Hogan, so I want SmackDown.
Oh, is this the lie detector test with him as the Patriot?
You mean Mr. America? No,
Mr.
that's
America?
later on.
Oh, that's
you actually get Hogan later on in the year. I get him first.
Yeah, I finally get to use that again, TJ.
Except now you got to put a verse instead of just review.
Okay, I'm pretty good at making graphics.
I don't think you might as well get rid of the Friday night part.
Yeah, we need a big fist through the middle of it.
Oh wait,
But
wrong side.
Let's do that when we come back because we're gonna take a break for the holidays.
We're gonna take a good month and a half, 2-month break from this versus thing because we have other shows.
We have other shows planned. So the versus battles have been fun. WWE
have they? Have they?
I've had fun with it. I've got to sit back and listen to this and watch them with you. And WWE wins December only because WCW can't put a full show together.
Really? The DX, the
AJ, 4 of like the 6 things I had to watch, they ended off air.
Yeah, but all my shit was still good.
See now that doesn't age well. But through 1997, those cliffhanger endings is what made, because WCW did them and WWF does them too. They get into them more in 1998 than they did in 1997. But those cliffhanger endings on Monday nights, when there wasn't a second show, was what kept you wanting to come back next Monday night to see what happened.
Well, WCW has their Saturday night thing.
They didn't really, because it's 2 different networks, they didn't really play the videos from Nitro on Saturday night.
Yeah, but they didn't ever play the video the next Monday either.
I know, but it was the cliffhanger for Monday nights is what made people keep coming back on Monday nights to see what happened, what we missed.
Watching a
not to
train wreck,
mention,
you just can't look away.
Not to mention, I'm almost positive on some of those where it's not telling you, they would tune back in during commercial breaks on the show after Nitro about things that were going on. That happened a lot.
I just wanted to see the ziplining Sting hit the thing and what would have happened. Like the live show crowd, God bless them, they got to see so much cool shit.
So it's been fun. Monday Night Raw wins. 1997. Next up in the Versus series will be...
That's only because he didn't give me July. Pump your brakes.
The Raw versus SmackDown series will be the next Versus series. It'll be the year of 2002. The first year of the brand split, it's Vince McMahon draft versus Ric Flair draft. Flair's in charge of Raw. Vince is in charge of SmackDown. TJ is on a Hawaiian vacation from here until then.
I'm working on my tan for Sting.
So, like I said, this Versus has been fun. We do have other things planned. We have a GM storyboard between the 3 of us planned that I think will be a lot of fun. We're going to do a GM draft. We're each going to create our own matches for our show or how our show would be built. It's going to be fun between the 3 of us. It's going to be all active wrestlers current day that wrestle for a U.S. show. So WWE will be involved. NXT will be involved. TNA will be involved. AEW will be involved. And Ring of Honor. Those 5 companies only will be involved. We all will have a list of what we can pick from. Men and female and tag teams will be involved.
And they have to be signed to one of the companies. They can't be a loan or free agent just coming in for one. Like, so, you can't pick Matt Cardona. You can't. Because he is a free agent.
Explain this to me again when it matters.
Probably about like 2 or 3 weeks. So
yeah. Anyway, It's been fun, guys. Stay tuned to the channel. Next week, we will have our award show, our end of the year award shows for our picks for the Wrestling with Nerd Awards.
The nerdies.
And then we're going to take us a nice 2-week, 3-week break for the holidays and everything. And we'll be back. Stay tuned to social media. Some posts might go out on Facebook while we're away. Some tweets may go out. Some TikToks may go out while we're gone. But we'll be back with more live content after the new year for sure. So stay tuned.
Happy holiday.
Everybody have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, have a Happy New Year. If you're going out, I'm going to steal it from AJ. If you're going out, have a designated driver. It's not that hard to call an Uber or a Lyft driver. And if you're one of my dumbass friends, just give me a call. I'll come get you. But it's been fun, guys. Guys, have a Happy New Year. We will have the award show for next week, and we'll be all funs.
TJ, you got one last thing?
Yeet.
Bye, everybody.
Merry New Year.
From Mordor to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join nerds doing nerd things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page.